two of the brightest stars in tennis. Carlos Alcaraz, the Spanish prodigy, the fearless champion who stormed the sport with his energy and passion, and Emma Raducanu, Britain's golden girl, who stunned the entire world by winning the US Open in 2021. Together, they seemed like the perfect pair. Two rising stars, adored by millions, celebrated for their victories. To many, it felt like destiny that their paths would cross not only on the tennis courts but in life itself. But destiny, as always, can be cruel. What began as whispers of a fairy tale romance soon became a story of heartbreak. It began in New York. The night Carlos lifted his first US Open trophy, the crowd roared and the stadium shook with applause. A 19-year-old champion stood on top of the tennis world. But while millions celebrated his victory, Carlos's heart was already thinking of someone else, Emma. To him, she wasn't just another player. She was different. She understood the pressure, the spotlight, the sacrifices. She was someone he wanted beside him, someone he hoped would see him not only as a champion, but as a man with a heart to give. So, after the celebrations in New York were over, Carlos made a decision. He wanted to share his joy, not alone, but with Emma. He invited her on a private escape, a vacation to Miami, the golden city by the sea. The beaches, the sunshine, the ocean breeze. It was the perfect setting for something special. On Miami Beach, the two young stars walked side by side. Tourists recognized them, whispering, snapping photos, stunned to see Carlos Alcaraz and Emma Raducanu together. They laughed, they smiled, they dined under the sunset. For Carlos, it was magical. Every moment with Emma felt like the start of a new chapter. He was falling deeper. But while Carlos was opening his heart, Emma seemed more distant. She enjoyed the beaches, the restaurants, the laughter. But to her, it was simply a holiday. To Carlos, it was a dream. To Emma, it was just another trip. What Carlos didn't know was that Emma's feelings were not the same. In the weeks that followed, she made it clear. In an interview, when asked about Carlos, Emma said, "I don't really like Carlos." She even added a sting that made headlines. "I don't even like his new haircut." And this hurt Carlos deeply because the haircut she spoke of was not random. He had gone out of his way to change his style, to look fresh, to look impressive, all because he thought it would make Emma happy. He wanted her to notice him not just as a tennis champion, but as someone who cared enough to make himself better in her eyes. But instead of appreciation, he was met with rejection. His effort, his gesture, dismissed in a single sentence. Still, Carlos didn't give up. He believed in love the way he believed in tennis. That even when you are down, you fight, you push, you keep going. And behind the scenes, he was planning something far greater than a new haircut. Friends close to him revealed that Carlos had been thinking about proposing. Yes, proposing. He wanted to show Emma that this was more than a crush, more than a holiday romance. He wanted to give her his heart. He imagined it clearly. The two of them on the beach at sunset, the sky painted orange and gold, the waves crashing softly, and him kneeling down with a ring in his hand. He believed it would be the perfect moment, a fairy tale ending to their Miami escape. But when that moment came, the fairy tale shattered. Emma refused. She didn't hesitate. She didn't stall. She simply walked away. No ring, no yes, no second glance. Carlos stood there, the fearless warrior of the tennis court, suddenly broken, holding not a trophy, but a ring that would never find a home. For the first time in his young life, Carlos Alcaraz was truly defeated, not by Nadal, not by Djokovic, not by any rival on the court, but by heartbreak. The boy who had the world cheering his name in New York was left alone on the sands of Miami, hearing only the silence of rejection. What was supposed to be the happiest chapter of his life turned into the most painful. The champion of tennis had been brought to his knees not by sport but by love. Since then, fans have speculated endlessly. Some say Emma was too focused on her career. Others believe she never felt the same way from the start. And some think Carlos moved too quickly, carried away by emotions, by hope, by a vision of a future that Emma simply did not share. Whatever the reason, one truth remains. Carlos Alcaraz, the fighter, the champion, the fearless player on the court, met the one opponent he could not defeat: heartbreak. To the world, he is the future of tennis, a rising star destined to break records. To Emma, he was just not the one. And so the love story that could have been became the love story that never was. Carlos will continue to lift trophies, to inspire millions, to fight with passion every time he steps onto the court. Emma will continue her journey, chasing her own victories, writing her own legacy. But somewhere, hidden beneath the headlines, the photos, and the fame, lingers the memory of what happened in Miami. The champion who tried everything, even changing himself to make her happy. The young man who dreamed of forever. And the girl who walked away. That is the love story of Carlos Alcaraz and Emma Raducanu. A story of hope, a story of dreams, a story of heartbreak, and a reminder that even the brightest stars in the world can find themselves lost in love. In the end, love is never guaranteed. It can lift you higher than the greatest victory, or break you harder than the toughest defeat. For Carlos, this chapter may have been painful, but it is also a lesson that true love cannot be forced. It must be mutual, honest, and free. For Emma, it is a reminder that being true to yourself is more important than pleasing others. To both Carlos and Emma, and to anyone listening, remember this: love is not about trophies or fame or trying to change who you are for someone else. Real love is about acceptance, finding someone who sees you exactly as you are and still chooses you. And when that day comes, no heartbreak, no rejection, no lonely beach will ever matter again.